The adage, "the winner is king," applies to war, where the victor usually has the ultimate say, and the losing side must lose territory, redraw borders, or grant autonomy to some districts under a peace agreement. Russia is now acting like the loser in the Ukraine war. Russia has resorted to partnerships and territorial concessions in desperation. The question is whether giving away territory to China, Russia's former enemy, is a good way to help Russia win the Ukraine war. What area will Russia give China? What made President Vladimir Putin, who once envisioned a massive Russian empire, make this decision? This video addresses these questions. Putin is willing to give up the 521 kilometers Tumen River, which borders China, North Korea, and Russia. Request for Tumen River and Sea of Japan access. The Tumen River, originating from China's Matpaiktu at 2,150 meters, flows through North Korea before reaching the Sea of Japan. China controls only a 16-kilometer stretch of the river, which was ceded to Russia in the 1860s by the Qing dynasty, limiting China's access to the Sea of Japan. However, China may reclaim parts of the Tumen River Valley in 2024, 160 years after losing control. In May 2024, during a visit by Putin to China, both countries discussed cooperation regarding the Tumen River. The joint statement emphasized continued engagement with North Korea concerning Chinese navigation rights in the lower river, but it did not indicate Russia would cede control to China. In June 2024, Putin visited Kim Jong-un in North Korea, where they agreed to build a new road bridge over the Tumen River, in addition to the existing Korea-Russia Friendship Bridge. Plans for a road bridge in 2015 were halted after North Korea's nuclear test in 2016, but recent talks suggest these efforts are resuming. Increased road traffic would promote trade and tourism, benefiting both Russia and North Korea, both under Western sanctions. Putin and Kim also discussed granting Chinese ships permanent access to the Sea of Japan via the Tumen River, which requires Russian and North Korean permission. While China has long sought such access, Russia's concerns over increasing Chinese dominance in Northeast Asia were eased after the Ukraine invasion, altering the power dynamics and influencing Putin's stance. Plan for Tumen River expansion. Chinese plans for the Tumen River are ambitious. It may enlarge this river to accommodate larger vessels. China typically refers to its Coast Guard ships as larger than other countries' boats in the vicinity. Consider the CCG 5901 ship. The world's largest Coast Guard vessel is this Zhao 2 class ship by far. The CCG 5901 is 8 times larger than a typical U.S. ship at 165 meters and 12,000 tons. Coast Guard cutter. The national security cutters, the largest and most technologically advanced of these ships, is 127 meters and 4,500 tons smaller than the Zhao 2 class ship. This ship beats the U.S. size of the Navy's 9,800-ton Ticonderoga class cruisers and 9,900-ton Arleigh Burke class destroyers. The monster nickname for the CCG 5901 makes sense given these figures. At Sabina Shoal, the monster is intimidating the Philippine Coast Guard and its 5 times smaller vessels. If China has direct access to the Sea of Japan, and the many disputed islands will likely feel China's naval assertiveness. The U.S. and its regional allies would have to project more naval might in the Indo-Pacific, stretching their resources, which is why China wants the Tumen River to enhance commercial transport and wreck its maritime neighbors. Russia needs China at its side. Why would Russia give China this key river? Yes, the video title says so. Desperate Putin. In short, Russia needs China as it becomes more isolated globally. Russia can only look east for aid. The West has nothing for them. Putin is running out of Xi incentives. He has to accept China's Belt and Road Initiative and Arctic ambitions. Territorial concessions follow. Russia isn't handling the Tumen River well. Indeed, such a concession would not be like giving China a rare gem. With only one border post hamlet and no infrastructure, the Russian side of the Tumen River remains neglected. Still, this area's strategic importance makes it a desirable commodity in geopolitical discussions, and Putin must be ready to leave it to win China's support. Why does Putin need China's support so badly? It's simple. Things aren't going his way. It is well known that Putin believed he could bring Ukraine to its knees 3 days before the invasion. His lapdogs have sought to distort history ever since. Nearly 900 days later, Russia appears to be weakening. Russia is running short of everything: planes, ships, tanks, humans. Putin's desperation and Ukraine's help. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022, the General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces reported significant Russian losses. 5 fights, 4-5 Pinot troops, 8180 tanks, 15,715 armored vehicles, 2 T-26-9 trucks and fuel tanks, 15 Tu-51 artillery systems, 1115 rocket systems, 883 air defense systems, 361 planes, 326 helicopters, 11 9x73 drones, 28 ships, and 1 submarine. By July 10, 2024. To counter these losses, Putin is recruiting 100,000 contract soldiers in early 2024, putting strain on Russia's defense industry. A senior NATO official noted that Russia lacks the manpower and weaponry for a large-scale operation in Ukraine, requiring new mobilization and supplies from countries beyond Iran and North Korea to sustain its efforts. In contrast, Ukraine has strong support from its allies. After months of U.S. opposition, a $61 billion aid package was approved in April 2024. Subsequent aid packages included nearly $1 billion in weaponry. The $400 million package, May 10, 2024, included air defense ammunition, HIMARS systems, anti-aircraft and anti-tank missiles, artillery shells, and armored vehicles. On May 24th, Ukraine received another $275 million in military support, which included precision munitions, mortars, and additional anti-tank weapons. A $225 million package revealed on June 7th included Hawk air defenses, artillery, armored vehicles, and patrol boats. At a meeting between President Biden and President Zelensky, Biden pledged continued support. On July 3rd, a $150 million package was announced, and a larger $2.3 billion package is expected soon, with air defense and anti-tank weapons. Beyond the U.S., other allies are supporting Ukraine. Austria pledged $10.7 million for humanitarian aid on June 15th, and Canada announced a $38.1 million relief package on June 16th, including support for Ukraine's damaged energy infrastructure. On June 17th, Germany disclosed plans to send a Leopard 1 tank equipped with an anti-aircraft cannon. The Sky Ranger system, built lately, has become famous for its powerful sensors with 360-degree battlefield vision and drone management. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz stated that Ukraine will get a third Patriot system in the coming months from Germany, Ukraine's top European donor. Jana Černíková, the Czech Republic's Minister of Defense, confirmed the delivery of 5,000 ammunition shells to Ukraine on June 27th, marking the start. The first batch of 18,000 rounds of German-financed ammunition for Ukraine included this delivery. It's safe to assume that Ukraine will receive more rounds after Czech President Petr Pavel announced his country had found 500,000 155mm and 3,000 122mm shells outside Europe that might be acquired and supplied to Ukraine. On July 5th, the Latvian Ministry of Defense announced plans to transfer over 2,500 combat drones worth $4.3 million to Ukraine in the same month, with the first batch of 300 coming shortly after. On July 10th, newly appointed UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer authorized Ukraine to utilize Storm Shadow long-range missiles to attack Russian military targets. Ukraine had been granted permission, but there were concerns that a change in administration could affect policy. However, this is not true. Keir Starmer remarked during the 2024 Washington NATO summit that Ukraine should decide how to use storm shadows defensively. Ukraine has reportedly fired 150-mile range missiles to hit Russian military targets in Crimea, which Russia illegally invaded in 2014. The UK and other Western allies have changed the game for Ukraine and added to Russia's desperation by relaxing the embargo on Western-supplied weaponry against military targets on Russian soil. Ukrainian allies, especially NATO nations, have stepped forward. Since Russia invaded, NATO nations have paid $43 billion in military aid annually. At the recent Washington NATO summit, they pledged to do so next year, echoing Biden's impassioned comments, "We won't leave you." NATO has strengthened its defenses and support for Ukraine. A chart released on June 17, 2024, shows significant progress in defense expenditure across member countries, with 23 nations meeting or exceeding NATO's 2% GDP defense spending target, compared to only 3 in 2014. Poland leads with 4.12%, followed by Estonia, the U.S., and Latvia. Excluding the U.S., Russia's neighbors are the top spenders. Latvia, for example, has tripled its defense budget since 2014. However, 8 NATO members still fall short of the 2% target in 2024, including Croatia, Portugal, Italy, Canada, Belgium, Luxembourg, Slovenia, and Spain. Luxembourg's defense spending has tripled since 2014, while Croatia is closest to the target at 1.81%. Despite these shortfalls, most countries have increased military budgets. NATO's strength is growing as Finland joined the alliance on April 4, 2023, and Sweden followed on March 7, 2024. Putin's actions have led to NATO's expansion, with many neighboring countries fearing further Russian aggression. Estonia, Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, and Norway have heightened their defense budgets due to concerns about Russia's ambitions. Poland, a NATO member, remains one of Europe's largest defense spenders. Putin's policies have inadvertently created a united front against Russian encroachments, with neighboring countries joining NATO, contributing to economic sanctions and financial strain on Russia. To make matters worse for Russia, the West won't quit soon. Polish Minister of Foreign Affairs Radosław Sikorski recommended seizing all $321 billion in frozen Russian sovereign assets on June 30th to win the escalation game with Russia. We can add money to Russia's long list of scarce resources. Putin fails due to Ukraine's strong resistance. Putin is frantic because his plans are hindered by dwindling resources, NATO's growing strength, lifted weapon bans, and increasing Western aid, all while Ukraine resists strongly. Ukrainian forces have struck 15 radar sites and over 10 control centers across Crimea and other regions, targeting air defense systems like the S-300, S-350, and S-400. These attacks are seen as preparations for the arrival of F-16 jets, which Ukraine's Prime Minister Dick Skuf announced would be operational by summer 2024 after 2 years of requests and delays. The attacks on Crimea have prompted Russia to deploy its latest S-500 systems to defend the peninsula, but this leaves mainland Russia vulnerable. Ukrainian drones have targeted Russian air bases and military facilities, with a notable attack on the Morozovsk air base on June 14th and further strikes on industrial and fuel facilities, including a major fire at Lukoil's oil depot on July 6th. Ukraine's growing drone capabilities, backed by private donations, have enabled attacks up to 1,207 kilometers into Russian territory, targeting military assets and disrupting fuel supplies, which weakens Russia's war effort. These actions are escalating tensions, contributing to Putin's desperation as he faces the prospect of ceding Russian territory, which could alienate his supporters. What do you think China's future in the Ukraine war is as it and Russia get closer? Will China profit from this battle, or must it reconsider its decision due to international criticism and an unpredictable situation? Comment your ideas below. Follow our channel for Russia-Ukraine war updates. Thanks for watching. See you next time.